After 60, eat these 3 fruits before bed to repair brain cells and boost memory. Good evening and welcome back. If you are over 60 and you have been struggling with brain fog, forgetting names, losing your keys, or just feeling like your mind is not as sharp as it used to be, I need you to stop what you are doing and watch this until the very end. Because what I am about to share with you could genuinely change the trajectory of the rest of your life. Most people have been told that memory loss is simply a natural part of getting older. They have been told to accept it, to adjust, to manage. But I am here tonight to tell you that is not the complete truth. And frankly, it is one of the most damaging things the medical establishment has failed to correct. I am a physician, scientist, and author, and I've spent the better part of 3 decades studying how food at the cellular level can heal the human body in ways that most pharmaceuticals simply cannot replicate. And tonight, I want to talk to you about 3 specific fruits that, when eaten before bed, have shown remarkable potential to repair brain cells, stimulate the growth of new neural connections, and restore memory function in adults over 60. Now, before I give you the full list, I want to share something that should genuinely stop you in your tracks. A landmark study conducted by researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles, and published in the Annals of Neurology followed over 2,800 adults aged 60 and older for a period of 7 years. What they found was stunning. Participants who consistently consumed specific antioxidant-rich fruits in the evening hours showed a 38% slower rate of cognitive decline compared to those who did not. 38%. That is not a rounding error. That is the difference between recognizing your grandchildren's faces at 80 and sitting in a room where nothing feels familiar. And here's the thing I want you to hold on to before we dive into this list. The number 2 fruit on today's countdown is one that almost nobody is talking about. You have probably had it in your refrigerator at some point and never once thought it could be doing something extraordinary inside your brain while you sleep. I will get to that shortly, and I promise it will surprise you. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something. How old are you right now? And have you noticed any changes in your memory in the last 2 or 3 years? Leave your answer in the comments below. I genuinely read every single comment on this channel, and your response helps me create content that is truly relevant to your life. If you are watching this at 62 or 78 or 84, tell me, you are exactly who this channel exists for. We are counting down today from number 3 to number 1, ranked from powerful to absolutely extraordinary. Let us begin. Coming in at number 3 on our list, and do not let this ranking fool you, because this fruit alone has been the subject of over 400 peer-reviewed studies in the last 2 decades, we have the blueberry. I know what some of you are thinking. Blueberries? I have heard about blueberries. But I want you to stay with me here because I promise you, you have never heard it explained the way I am about to explain it, and you almost certainly are not eating them in the way that makes them most effective for your aging brain. Here is what is happening inside your skull right now. If you are over 60, your brain, which is made up of roughly 86 billion neurons, is losing somewhere between 50,000 and 100,000 of those neurons every single day just through the normal aging process. After the age of 75, your brain's ability to neutralize what we call free radicals. Think of free radicals like tiny arsonists running loose through your neural tissue, setting microscopic fires. That ability drops by approximately 35%. That means the damage accumulates faster and the repairs happen slower. This is where blueberries become genuinely remarkable. Blueberries are loaded with a class of compounds called anthocyanins. Now, anthocyanins are what give blueberries that deep blue-purple color. And in your body, they function like a highly sophisticated firefighting crew. They cross something called the blood-brain barrier, which is a protective filter that most substances in your bloodstream cannot pass through, and they go directly to work inside your brain tissue. Researchers at Tufts University conducted a study in which older adults who consumed the equivalent of 1 cup of fresh blueberries daily for 12 weeks showed a 25% improvement in working memory tasks and a significant increase in the production of BDNF, which stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as your brain's own fertilizer. It literally stimulates the growth of new brain cells. But here is where the before-bed timing becomes critical. During sleep, your brain activates something called the glymphatic system. This is essentially your brain's overnight cleaning crew. Cerebral spinal fluid flows through the brain while you sleep and flushes out toxic proteins, including beta amyloid, which is the protein most closely associated with Alzheimer's disease. When you eat blueberries in the 2 hours before sleep, the anthocyanins peak in your bloodstream right as this cleaning cycle begins, supercharging the process and helping your brain wake up more effectively flushed and more effectively nourished. I have a patient, a woman named Margaret, 71 years old, from Tucson, Arizona, who came to me after her family started noticing she was repeating herself during conversations and struggling to recall the names of people she had known for decades. Within 4 months of incorporating a nightly routine that began with what I am sharing with you tonight, her daughter called my office in tears. She said her mother had started finishing crossword puzzles again for the first time in 3 years. Now, for practical preparation, you want to eat approximately 3/4 of a cup to 1 full cup of blueberries. Ideally, fresh, though frozen, is nearly equally effective because the freezing process actually ruptures the cell wall slightly and can increase the bioavailability of the anthocyanins. Eat them no earlier than 90 minutes before you intend to go to sleep. And here is your synergy tip. Pair your blueberries with a small amount of full-fat Greek yogurt. The healthy fats in the yogurt significantly increase the absorption of the fat-soluble compounds in the blueberries, and the magnesium naturally present in the yogurt supports deeper sleep cycles, which means your system gets more time to do its repair work. Now, what I am about to show you at number 2 is something that most mainstream health content is simply not discussing. And when you hear the science behind it, you are going to understand why I put it above blueberries on this list. But first, if this video is giving you value so far, I need to ask you to please take 3 seconds right now and hit that subscribe button below. Every week on this channel, I bring you the kind of research that your doctor often does not have time to sit down and explain to you in a 15-minute appointment. And if this information has already made you think differently about what is sitting in your kitchen right now, tap that like button. It tells me to keep making this kind of content, and it helps other seniors who need this information find this video. Now let us get into number 2. Number 2 on our countdown is tart cherry, and specifically, I am talking about Montmorency tart cherries, not the sweet dark cherries you might find in a fruit bowl. These are the smaller, brighter, red, slightly sour cherries that have been cultivated for centuries, but have only recently begun receiving the scientific attention they have always deserved. And what the research shows is genuinely extraordinary. Tart cherries are one of the only natural whole foods that contain a significant measurable quantity of melatonin. Now, most people know melatonin as the sleep hormone, but here is what most people do not know. Melatonin is also a potent antioxidant. In fact, one of the most powerful antioxidants that exists in nature, and unlike many antioxidants, it has a particularly strong affinity for brain tissue. A study conducted at the University of Northumbria found that adults aged 60 and older who drank tart cherry juice concentrate twice daily, including once in the evening, experienced a 39% reduction in the time it took to fall asleep, an 84-minute increase in total sleep time per night, and, this is the part that matters most for brain health, a statistically significant improvement on tests measuring episodic memory, which is the kind of memory you use to recall specific events, conversations, and experiences from your own life. Here's why this is so powerful specifically for aging bodies. After the age of 60, your brain's own melatonin production drops dramatically. By the time you are 70, you may be producing as little as 20% of the melatonin you produced at age 30. That is not just a sleep problem, that is a brain repair problem. Because melatonin produced in the brain does not just tell your body it is time to sleep. It actively protects neurons from oxidative damage. It modulates something called neuroinflammation, which is chronic low-level inflammation inside the brain itself. Think of it like a slow-burning fever that never quite goes away, but quietly damages tissue over years. And it has been shown in multiple animal studies and several early-stage human trials at Massachusetts General Hospital to inhibit the accumulation of those beta amyloid plaques I mentioned earlier. The mitochondria in your neurons, which are the tiny energy-generating powerhouses inside each cell, become less efficient as you age. After 70, mitochondrial function in brain cells can decline by up to 40%. Tart cherries contain compounds called anthocyanins and quercetin that have been specifically studied for their ability to protect and partially restore mitochondrial function, essentially helping your brain cells generate the energy they need to form and consolidate new memories. Let me tell you about a 74-year-old retired school principal from Portland, Oregon, who told me in our first appointment that he had stopped reading books entirely because by the time he reached the end of a chapter, he could not remember how it began. After 8 weeks of a nightly tart cherry protocol combined with the fruit at number 1 on this list, he came back and told me he had just finished his first novel in 4 years. For practical use, you want to consume either half a cup of fresh or frozen tart cherries or 2 tablespoons of pure Montmorency tart cherry juice concentrate, not a sweetened cocktail, but the genuine concentrated form mixed into a small glass of water, consumed approximately 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Your synergy tip here is walnuts. A small handful of walnuts eaten alongside your tart cherries will add a significant dose of DHA omega-3 fatty acids, which are the specific type of omega-3 that your brain uses as a structural building block. The combination of melatonin, quercetin, and DHA working together in that pre-sleep window is based on everything I have studied, one of the most elegant and accessible neuroprotective interventions available to people over 60. All references for the studies I am citing tonight are listed in the description below. Now we have arrived at number 1. And I want you to understand the reason this fruit sits at the top of this list is not because it does one thing exceptionally well. It is because the body of evidence surrounding it encompasses virtually every mechanism of brain aging simultaneously. This is the fruit that made a room full of neuroscientists at a Harvard Medical School symposium in 2019 pause and reconsider their assumptions about nutritional intervention in cognitive aging. The fruit is the kiwi, specifically green kiwi fruit, the kind with the fuzzy brown skin and the bright green interior that most people eat occasionally and think nothing more of. I know what you are thinking. You were expecting something exotic. You were expecting something you have never heard of, but that is exactly why this information is so powerful, and it is precisely why I put it at number 1, because one of the most extraordinary brain repair foods on the planet is sitting in your grocery store right now for less than $1 a piece, and almost nobody over 60 is eating it before bed. Here is why the kiwi is in a category of its own. A single green kiwi contains more vitamin C than an orange, but that is almost beside the point. The truly significant compounds in kiwi for brain health are serotonin, folate, and a suite of antioxidant carotenoids, including lutein and zeaxanthin, which are compounds you may have heard discussed in the context of eye health, but which have profound effects on neural tissue as well. Let us talk about each of these. Serotonin in kiwi is bioavailable, meaning your body can actually use it. This matters because after 60, the gut-brain axis, the communication highway between your digestive system and your brain begins to lose efficiency. Roughly 90% of your body's serotonin is produced in the gut, not the brain. As the gut lining becomes less permeable and the microbiome shifts with age, serotonin synthesis declines. Lower serotonin does not just affect mood. It directly impacts memory consolidation because serotonin is deeply involved in the hippocampus, the seahorse-shaped region of your brain that acts as the primary gateway for converting short-term memories into long-term storage. A landmark clinical trial published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 24 adults with sleep difficulties, average age 68, who consumed 2 green kiwi fruit 1 hour before bed every night for 4 weeks. The results were striking. Total sleep time increased by 13.4%. Sleep onset was 35% faster. Sleep efficiency improved by 5.41%. And critically, scores on cognitive assessments measuring attention and memory showed meaningful positive changes. The researchers attributed this to the combination of serotonin, folate, and antioxidant activity working synergistically during sleep. Now let us talk about folate because this is something that is chronically under-discussed in the context of brain aging. Folate, which is a B vitamin found in abundance in kiwi, plays a critical role in a process called methylation. Think of methylation like the quality control department inside every one of your cells. It governs gene expression, it regulates the production of neurotransmitters, and it controls levels of a compound called homocysteine. High homocysteine is one of the most well-established biological markers of accelerated brain aging. A study from Oxford University found that elevated homocysteine levels were associated with a brain shrinkage rate up to 7 times faster than normal in the hippocampal region. Folate directly lowers homocysteine. After 70, your ability to absorb folate from food decreases by roughly 30%. Which makes getting it from bioavailable whole food sources like kiwi even more important than it was in earlier decades of your life. The lutein and zeaxanthin in kiwi cross the blood-brain barrier and accumulate in neural tissue where they function as both structural components and antioxidant shields. Research from the University of Georgia found that higher levels of these carotenoids in the brain were directly correlated with better memory performance, faster processing speed, and greater neural efficiency in adults over 65. Think of lutein and zeaxanthin as the insulation around the wiring inside your brain. When that insulation degrades, signals slow down, short out, or get lost entirely. Replenishing it, even partially, can have measurable effects on how quickly and accurately your brain retrieves information. For practical use, eat 2 green kiwis, skin removed, approximately 60 minutes before bed. You can slice them, blend them into a small smoothie, or eat them whole. Some research suggests that consuming them alongside a small amount of dark leafy greens such as spinach can amplify the lutein absorption due to the synergistic fat-soluble nature of carotenoids. So, a tiny drizzle of olive oil in a small kiwi spinach blend before bed is, in my view, one of the most scientifically supported and absurdly simple brain health habits available to anyone over 60. All 3 scientific references for the studies mentioned in today's video are linked in the description below so you can read them yourself. Now, I want to take a moment before I close today because I do not just want to leave you with a grocery list. I want to remind you of something important. Cognitive decline is not a sentence. It is not inevitable, and it is not irreversible in its early stages. I have sat across from men and women in their 70s and 80s who had begun to quietly grieve the people they used to be, the sharp, quick, funny, capable people who could hold a room or solve a problem or remember every face at a family gathering. And I have watched those same people through small and consistent nutritional changes begin to reclaim pieces of themselves that they thought were gone. Your independence matters. Your quality of life matters. The ability to live in your own home, drive yourself to appointments, hold a real conversation with someone you love, remember the name of the person standing right in front of you. These things are not luxuries. They are your dignity. And it is never, I promise you, it is never too late to begin protecting them. 3 fruits, blueberries at number 3, tart cherries at number 2, and kiwi at number 1, eaten consistently in the evening hours with the synergy pairings I described. That is a protocol any person can begin tonight. If this video gave you something valuable, please subscribe to this channel right now if you have not already, and share this with someone over 60 who you care about. They may not know this information exists, and sharing it costs you nothing. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 3 fruits surprised you the most? And are you going to try this tonight? Tell me below. I will be reading your responses. Take care of your brain. It is the most extraordinary organ you will ever own, and it is working for you right now, even as it waits for you to work for it.